Germany, the largest economy in Europe and a global manufacturing hub, is grappling with a confluence of challenges stemming from its historical reliance on Russian energy, the economic fallout of the Russia-Ukraine war, and mounting political instability. The crisis has shaken the foundations of a nation once considered a pillar of European stability and economic strength. Energy, dependency, and economic turmoil. For decades, Germany's industrial base thrived on the availability of cheap natural gas from Russia. Before the onset of the Russia-Ukraine conflict in February 2022, approximately 55% of Germany's natural gas supply came from Russia, much of it transported through the Nord Stream pipeline network. This critical infrastructure, consisting of two pipelines, Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2, ran under the Baltic Sea and served as a vital energy artery for Western Europe. However, on September 26, 2022, a series of explosions severely damaged Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2, rendering 3 out of 4 lines inoperable. The sabotage not only disrupted Germany's energy supply, but also symbolized the growing geopolitical vulnerabilities of energy dependence. The event accelerated an already unfolding energy crisis, forcing Germany to pivot to alternative suppliers, including the US, Norway, and Qatar, often at significantly higher costs. Who was behind the sabotage? The sabotage of the Nord Stream pipelines on September 26, 2022, remains a subject of ongoing investigation and international debate. While definitive conclusions have yet to be reached, several developments provide insight into potential perpetrators and motives. Following the explosions, Germany, Sweden, and Denmark initiated separate investigations. By February 2024, Sweden and Denmark concluded their probes without publicly assigning responsibility, citing insufficient evidence to pursue criminal cases. Emerging evidence and suspects. In August 2024, German authorities issued an arrest warrant for a Ukrainian national identified as Vadim Zay. He's suspected of participating in the sabotage, allegedly as part of a 6-member team that used a rented yacht to plant explosives on the pipelines. Reports suggest that this operation was overseen by Ukraine's commander-in-chief, Valery Zy, with initial approval from President Volodymyr Zelensky, who later attempted to halt the plan. Further complicating the investigation, Vadim Zy reportedly traveled to Germany multiple times after the incident despite being under suspicion. He ultimately evaded arrest by fleeing to Ukraine, allegedly using a vehicle with diplomatic license plates. This has raised questions about the level of cooperation from Polish authorities as he transited through Poland during his escape. International reactions and speculations. The incident has led to various speculations regarding the responsible parties. Investigative journalist Seymour Hersh published a report alleging that the United States, with Norwegian assistance, orchestrated the sabotage to weaken Russia's economic influence in Europe. The White House and CIA categorically denied these claims, labeling them as utterly false. Intelligence reports from June 2023 suggested that a pro-Ukrainian group might be responsible for the attack, aligning with subsequent German investigations pointing toward Ukrainian nationals. Environmental and economic impact. The sabotage of the Nord Stream pipelines in September 2022 led to the largest human-caused methane release ever recorded, with estimates ranging from approximately 465,000 to 485,000 metric tons of methane emitted into the atmosphere. This release is nearly 5 times larger than the 2015 Aliso Canyon disaster in California. Methane, a potent greenhouse gas, has a global warming potential approximately 28 to 34 times greater than carbon dioxide over a 100-year period. The sudden release from the Nord Stream incident is estimated to have the same near-term climate impact as the annual emissions from over 8 million cars. While this single event accounts for about 0.1% of annual human-caused methane emissions, it underscores the significant climate risks associated with large-scale releases. Beyond atmospheric implications, the methane leak had localized effects on the marine environment. Researchers observed increased bacterial activity in affected areas of the Baltic Sea as microorganisms metabolized the dissolved methane. This heightened bacterial consumption led to oxygen depletion in the water, potentially creating dead zones where higher marine life cannot survive. natural gas prices surged to historic highs following the explosions. By October 2022, natural gas prices in Europe had escalated to unprecedented levels, further straining the region's economy. Wholesale prices surged by over 200% compared to pre-crisis levels. The Dutch TTF gas futures, Europe's benchmark, reached $342 per megawatt-hour in August 2022, a dramatic increase from $16 per megawatt-hour in early 2021. This surge was primarily driven by the sudden disruption in supply from Russia, a key energy provider to Europe. The crisis reverberated through global LNG markets as European nations raced to secure alternative supplies, intensifying competition with Asian markets and driving global prices even higher. The reduced availability of natural gas further strained supply chains, particularly in industries reliant on gas as a critical input, such as fertilizer production, plastics manufacturing, and energy generation. Skyrocketing living costs and inflation followed. The sharp rise in energy prices had cascading effects on the broader economy, leading to record inflation rates across Europe. In Germany, inflation peaked at 11.6% in October 2022, the highest level since 1951, with energy and food costs as primary drivers. Households face soaring energy bills, with the average German household paying $5,000 annually for heating and electricity in 2023, compared to €1,800 in 2021. Rising energy costs also led to higher prices for goods and services, especially in transportation, housing, and food. These inflationary pressures disproportionately affected low-income families, many of whom struggled to afford basic necessities. To alleviate the burden, the German government introduced a $200 billion defensive shield plan, including subsidies and a gas price cap for households and businesses. However, critics argued these measures were insufficient to fully mitigate the public's financial hardships. Germany's energy-intensive industries were among the hardest hit. Soaring gas prices significantly increased operational costs, with the chemical sector, a cornerstone of Germany's industrial base, facing major challenges. BASF, one of the world's largest chemical companies, announced production cuts at its flagship Ludwigshafen plant in 2023 due to unsustainable energy costs. Similarly, industries like steelmaking, automotive manufacturing, and glass production struggled to remain competitive. The automotive sector, in particular, faced compounding pressures as rising energy and material costs, especially for electric vehicle batteries, undermined profitability. Small and medium-sized enterprises, forming the backbone of Germany's economy, faced closures or bankruptcies, as many lacked the financial resilience to absorb steep energy bill increases. The energy crisis also contributed to a broader economic downturn in Germany. By Q4 2022, the economy had contracted by 0.3%, officially entering a recession in 2023. Industrial production fell by 6% year-on-year, and export volumes declined as goods became less competitive globally due to higher production costs. The labor market suffered, with layoffs in energy-intensive industries compounding the financial strain on households. Meanwhile, rising utility costs dampened consumer spending, further slowing economic activity. The real estate market was also affected, as energy-efficient properties became more desirable, while older buildings with higher energy consumption saw reduced demand, leading to stagnation in the housing market. The energy crisis had profound social and political repercussions, fueling widespread public discontent and protests across Europe. In Germany, movements like the Montag demos gained momentum as citizens rallied against rising living costs and government policies. The crisis strained public trust in political leaders and tested the unity of governing coalitions. On the international stage, the crisis underscored Europe's vulnerability due to its dependence on Russian energy and catalyzed efforts to achieve energy independence. It also strengthened transatlantic ties, with the United States emerging as a key LNG supplier to Europe. These geopolitical shifts marked a significant turning point in the continent's approach to energy security and sustainability. In late 2024, Ukraine announced its decision not to renew the gas transit contract with Russia, effectively halting the flow of Russian natural gas through Ukrainian pipelines to Europe starting January 1, 2025. This move marked the end of an era,